Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Ali. If you're new here, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. It is the end of August. It is really wrap-up time. So yeah, I read 14 books this month. This was a fairly good reading month for me. The past couple months, I've been like 10 and under. So this was a good reading month. I read a lot, mainly because it was a very Kindle-heavy month. I don't know why 50% of the books that I read this month were on Kindle. That's kind of abnormal. I'm usually more of a physical book over a Kindle person, but for whatever reason, Kindle popped off this month. But regardless, I read 14 books, and let's talk about them. I read Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This was my first sci-fi. This is technically adult sci-fi, science fiction. I read fantasy fiction, but I've never really been a science fiction person, unless you count Star Wars, which I don't know if that counts, personal preference, but I'm not usually a sci-fi person. I'm usually just a fantasy person, but people that read kind of the same things that I do read Red Rising and recommended it, also not being sci-fi people. I read it, I 3-starred it. A lot of other people were like 5-starring it. They were like, whoa, this is really great. I liked it. I don't know if I'll finish the series. Like, I thought it was good for sci-fi. Did I think it was 5-star worthy? Obviously not, but I finished it. I was kind of expecting to DNF it. I feel like some parts were just too slow and too sci-fi world building for me. I think it is a good place to start for sci-fi if you're interested in it. The kind of world system is the Earth is dying and humans are starting to like go live on Mars. So our main character, he basically tunnels in Mars for whatever like energy source they get from it, and it's kind of like a Hunger Games thing where they get enough resources, they win like food and stuff for the month. Like in Hunger Games, if you were reaped, your family got resources and supplies, whatever. So it was like people were kind of competing to get resources so they could get food and whatnot. And there's like a rebellion. The main character is a guy. His wife is killed. She ends up being part of like a rebellion. He joins a rebellion to like avenge his wife. There's the whole like class system of like red and gold bloods, like how in like Red Queen there's people with and without powers caste system. Caste system in this, he's a red and they try and turn him into a gold so he can like infiltrate their society. So like it's an interesting storyline, but I felt like sometimes it was just too slow and I wanted to like skim through it sometimes. In terms of sci-fi, I finished it. Do I think I'm gonna read the rest of the series? Not necessarily. If you want to get into sci-fi, I think that this might be a good place to start because I don't know any other place to start. This is the only sci-fi I've read. But yeah, 3 stars, Red Rising by Pierce Brown. The next book I then DNF'd. I DNF'd The Boy with the Bookstore by Sarah and Charlie Smith. I thought that this looked cute. I got it at the bookstore. I read like half of it and didn't like it. Our main character is a baker. The love interest owns a bookstore. Good girl, bad boy. She's like in love with him. He's the dark guy with tattoos and blah blah blah. I don't know. It just felt kind of insta-lovey. It's supposed to be Grumpy Sunshine, but it just felt insta-lovey, and it felt like a million things I've ever read before. So I read like the first 100 pages and DNF'd it. I don't really know how to explain it because I didn't like it. Moving on. So then on Kindle, I read All the Stars Are Dying and I 3-starred this. This was a kind of like hyped up on TikTok book. It reminded me of the Plated Prisoner series, Gilded, that whole series, the King Midas retelling, where the main character is like in the unhealthy relationship with the king and is trapped inside the castle. That's what this book is. It reads almost exactly the same, Our main character is in the unhealthy, abusive relationship with the king and he traps her inside the castle. She has powers that nobody's supposed to know about and she meets the bad guy that is the love interest. So I think that's why I 3-starred it, is because sometimes I was like, is this book going to get copyrighted for the Plated Prisoner series? But our main character is Asteria. He is our girl with powers in the unhealthy relationship trapped in the castle. Love interest is Knight. He is technically a prisoner in the castle with a bunch of powers, and he only comes to her as like figments of her imagination, like he's in her head and anytime he's like there, he's like a shadow. So it's weird. Overall, if you liked the Play to Prisoner series, I think that you would like this because it has that vibe to it. I feel like sometimes it tried too hard with the plot twists. Like every other chapter, it was like, I'm on your side, lol, never mind, I'm on this person's mind. Kidding, I'm on your side again, but psych, I'm actually on his side. It felt like it did that like one too many times sometimes. So I 3-starred it. It was kind of too similar to other books, but if you liked Play to Prisoner, I don't see why you wouldn't like it. I then read Pillow Thoughts. 3-starred this. This is just a small book of poetry. I read these occasionally. It was good. I liked it. I've connected to other poetry books more than I have this one. It was good. If you like poetry and you haven't read it, check it out. I then reread Caravelle. I did an entire reading vlog of this. I decided to try and reread books that I've DNF'd. Caravelle is the book that people have been the most angry about me not liking, so I figured I would give it a shot since the first time I read Caravelle, I didn't finish it, I DNF'd it. So I made a reading vlog of it. I will tag that if you want to check it out and watch me live react, spoiler full, to Caravelle again. But I 2-starred it. I finished it, but I still don't like it. Hold for motorcycle. Anyways, I am forever a Once Upon a Heartbreak Stephanie Garber girl. I am not a Caravelle Stephanie Garber girl. Caravelle is, how do I explain it? Caravelle is about 2 sisters. They get invited to this magical carnival that turns into like some Alice in Wonderland-y thing where you're trying to like solve a mystery. Her sister goes missing. Has she been killed? Is she missing? What is up with the creator of this carnival? Is he a real person? Is he a figment of her imagination? Mainly, I don't like this book because the main character annoys the crap out of me. Scarlet, I'm pretty sure is her name. Hold for motorcycle. She annoys me. Every time she speaks, I want her to stop. I don't like a book if I don't like the main character. Other than that, don't find the appeal of the Caravelle world. I find it confusing. Don't find it like whimsical and fun. But yeah, I tried my best. I reread it. I still don't like it, but I finished it this time. So, improvement. I then read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I 4-starred this book. This is the first thriller that I've read in a while, and this is the first Frida McFadden book that I've ever read. She has been, in general, a thriller author that a lot of people recommend. She seems to be someone that a lot of people really like, and I am on that boat. I definitely like her. She has really good smaller thrillers, like 300 pages. Really good plot twists that I, like, only half guessed. Like, if I can guess a plot in a thriller, I have a tendency to not like it as much because, like, I want to be stumped, and I felt stumped with her books. But specifically, Inmate follows our main character. She gets a job as a nurse in a maximum security hospital. So she gets this job. While she's there, she realizes that one of the inmates is someone that she got sent to prison, like is in jail kind of sort of because of her, and also happens to be the father of her son. But this guy doesn't know that he's the father of the son, doesn't know the son exists. Is he the one that should be in prison? Is there somebody free should be in prison instead of him? Was he framed? Yada yada. Is our main character very stupid? Yes. And I think that's why I didn't 5-star it. I feel like she was a character that, like, when you're watching a horror movie and there's like the chainsaw noises in the basement and everybody's like, let's go in the basement, and you're screaming at the TV saying, don't go in the basement, you dumbass. That's what this character felt like sometimes. It felt like she was making every wrong decision you could possibly make for the plot. She was like, I'm doing it for the plot. I'm gonna go in that basement and see what happens, and then be like, oh my god, what do you mean you're trying to kill me? That's what her character felt like sometimes. I still finished it and I still really liked it. Yeah, if you want a thriller, I suggest Frida McFadden. I suggest specifically The Inmate. I then also read by her Never Lie, which I 3-starred. Still liked it, still had really good plot twists and things. I just wasn't as big of a fan of the storyline. Our main character is a couple. They break down while trying to go to this house showing. They get to the house showing, it's a snowstorm, they get snowed in, whatever. The house that they're showing is the house of this really famous psychiatrist that was murdered. So they're like, well, I guess we are gonna just have to like live in her house for a couple days until we're physically able to leave because of this snowstorm. And while they're there, the female main character discovers this whole secret room that's full of tapes. This psychiatrist has recordings of all of her sessions of every client she's ever had. So she starts listening to all these client tapes, and it kind of unfolds a possible storyline of her murder. It's kind of like, was the person that was arrested for her murder actually her murderer, or was it this person? So she's listening to these tapes, trying to put this story together. It also gives a little bit of Verity vibes. You know how in Verity our main character is living in the house. Verity is supposed to be like a vegetable and can't move, and she'll see Verity like staring at her at the top of the steps, and like, is she actually sick, is she not? That's what this kind of felt like. There's somebody in the house and you're like, is it her? Is she actually not dead? Is there a murder in her house? Like, there's all these weird things that are happening that the girlfriend is like, hey, this is happening, and the boyfriend's like, no, it's fine. So yeah, the big plot twist has more of the spooky vibe than what The Inmate did. I just liked The Inmate a little bit more. But again, if you want some good thriller recommendations, check out Frida McFadden. I've only read 2 of her books, but so far they've been good. Then I read The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. 3-starred this book? Yeah, I 3-starred this book. I read this book and 2 others I'm going to talk about in a BuzzFeed Quizzes Choose My Reads video. I'm trying to think of different ways to read through books on my TBR, so I decided to take a bunch of BuzzFeed quizzes and read books based on the answers it gives me. So I will tag that video too if you want to check that one out. But this was the first book that I read. It told me to read fantasy. I picked this one. I have read Sky in the Deep, and I liked Sky in the Deep a little bit better. Sky in the Deep is more like Vikings. This still has like the Viking Nordic vibe, but I didn't like how the storyline played out. It's a very small book, just over 300 pages. It's like 310. So it's very small. And I felt like nothing happened until like the last 100 pages. Like the war, the couple dating together, everything happened within the last 100 pages. Like it was entertaining, but 90% of the book was just getting to know her and her character. Everything happened at the very end. It's supposed to have a romance, but it's like the characters interacted once in the middle of the book and then they were together at the end. So it's like, okay, how did you 2 fall in love? Because you've interacted literally once. Like, I wanted there to be more going on than what there was. If it was maybe 100 pages more or just a little less like scene context, then I think I would have liked it a little bit more. I think for as small as Sky in the Deep was, it was a better balance of context in her as a character and like the love interest part. So if you like Adrienne Young, I would suggest her other stuff over this, but it's still good, and I would still recommend it. Following that, in that reading vlog, I read Song of Wraith and Ruins. This was another fantasy recommendation that it gave me. I also 3-starred this one. This I liked. It was good. It has really good African-American representation and all that jazz, which is super important. And, like, it was a good storyline. I just felt like I've read so many other books with this storyline that have done it better. Like a Red Queen, it's another, there's different caste systems, and there's one girl from a lower caste system that goes to fight the upper class system, and can she fake her? Or the people, I felt like it was just another generic fantasy storyline that I've read before. There wasn't anything really new about it. I was like, okay, cool. It wasn't bad. 3 stars is still good. I still finished it. I still liked it. But it wasn't anything new, unique, exciting. It had more of like a Tiger at Midnight vibe, more a cat and mouse type thing. Basically, our main characters are Karina and Malik. Karina is princess. Her mom is like the Sultana. Yeah, Sultana. And her mom gets assassinated. So Karina wants to avenge her mom. She wants to like resurrect her mom through a like raise them from the dead magic. To do this spell, she needs like the beating heart of a king. She needs to kill a king. So she decides to go and try marry a rival king so she can kill him, use his heart for this spell. Our main character, Malik, he has a younger sister, Nadia, and she gets like kidnapped for money. He needs to get money to get her back. Karina and Malik, they both need to win this competition. Karina needs to win it so she can marry the king. Malik needs to win it so he can get money. It's like a fight to the death, and the survivor gets whatever from the king. She can kill him, he gets money. Yada yada. They meet in this competition. Obviously they're supposed to kill each other, but they fall in love and now they don't want to kill each other. That's the whole thing. I just feel like it was so many books with the same plot line that I've read before. It was still good. I still recommend it. 3 stars is not a bad rating at all. 3 is like, it was a book, it was good, I read it. It wasn't anything unique. The final book that I read for that video was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the author of the Inheritance Games. This is a YA thriller series. It gives the vibes of Truly Devious, which is one of my favorite thriller series. There's another YA series. This is like a YA Criminal Minds. Our main character, she is Cassie. She has like a natural ability. She's really good at profiling people, like looking at them and figuring out like the weird quirks, like, oh, they drive this kind of car and they're at this store at this time. They must not have a job. Like, She's very good at just knowing weird things about people from looking at them. She gets hired by the FBI into like this youth program with a bunch of other gifted people. There's a girl that's really good at knowing when people are lying. She's like a human lie detector test. There's another profile. There's a guy that can read emotions. There's a girl with a photogenic memory, so she can rebuild crime scenes, all of that. So she gets inducted into like this secret society of like youth people for the FBI. She also has a backstory. Her mom has been murdered and her case has been unsolved. So she also wants to join this program to hopefully one day solve the murder mystery of her mom who killed her. They are assigned to try and solve a bunch of cold cases. It's a 4-book series. So I 4-starred this. I loved it. I ate this thing up. If you watch that video, I finished this book in like 2 hours. It's YA, so it's about 300 pages. It's got fairly big font. It reads fast. I devoured it. I loved it. It was so good. So as soon as that video ended, I read the second one, Killer Instinct. It's the same group of kids, just solving a different crime now. And I'm definitely going to keep reading the series. I 4-starred the second book as well. I would say the first one is maybe like a 4.25. I liked it just slightly more than the second one, but they were both really good, and I'm 100% going to go buy the rest of the series and finish it. So if you want a good YA thriller, if you're not a big thriller person, you want something that's kind of faster paced and not super gooey gory, I highly suggest this and the Truly Devious series. But The Naturals, very popular right now for a reason. I 4-starred both of them, 100% going to finish the series at some point. After I finished that video, I then read Love Theoretically by Hazy Halliwood. Whoa. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I 4-starred this book. I was expecting to like it more than what I did. I feel like out of all of Ali Hazelwood's book, this one has had the biggest hype. This one has had the most like, oh my gosh, it's a 5-star. I was really expecting this to be a 5-star. I haven't 5-starred, I don't think, any of Ali Hazelwood's books, but they've all been like 4-star and up. They've all been very close. I think this one was one of my favorites. I loved Jack, loved their banter, I loved him. It was definitely like a boy falls first. Loved it. I don't know what about it wasn't a 5-star. It just didn't give me that 5-star feeling, but it was still really good. If you don't know anything about Ali Hazelwood, she has kind of like a connecting universe. You can read any of them in any order, but usually there's couples, especially from this one, there's couples from the other books that are in this one. Olive and Adam, I believe that guy's name was, from Love Hypothesis, were in this. But all of her books follow women in STEM, women in different sciences. And I love that. I have a science degree. I'm a woman in STEM, so I really enjoy her book. I felt like this one did really good. It wasn't too science jargon heavy. I feel like her second book, Love on the Brain, I feel like Love on the Brain was my least favorite. I feel like that one was almost a little too science heavy sometimes in a way that was like distracting, but this one was really good. It was so cute. One of my favorites. It's hyped up for a reason. If you like Ali Hazelwood or you haven't started, I would suggest starting with this one. My rankings would be Love Theoretically, Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. And then the 14th and final book that I read this month was again on Kindle, and that is Scarlet Princess. I 3-starred this book. This is 4 or 5 book series. It's another one that I don't know if I will continue reading it, because again, it kind of just felt like another fantasy book with plots that I've read before. So this series follows our main character, Rowan. She is a princess of a neighboring kingdom that's at war with 2 neighboring kingdoms. Rowan is the princess of one. Our male love interest is the prince of the other. Rowan is not like other princesses. She's quirky and fun and like rides horses and gets in trouble. So she and her friend were smuggling alcohol from one country to another when she gets captured by the love interest of this neighboring country, where she and her friend are held and they have to go through like a trial and everything to decide if they're going to be killed for trespassing or what. And she's not like other princesses. She has an attitude and is spunky and like argues with the prince. And that's what I feel like I didn't like about it, is sometimes I felt like they were trying too hard to not make her like other girls, to the point where it was like, I get it, she doesn't like pants. It was entertaining, it was quick, it was YA. I don't think I liked the main character enough to want to finish 5 books about the main character. Here are all the physical, at least, books that I read in August. 14 books. Fairly good month for me. I still need to pick up my reading game. My goal for this year is 150 books. I'm almost at 100. I think I can make it. I gotta amp it up a little bit in the next couple months. But yeah, here's everything I read. If you've read any of these books, or if you want to read any of these books, let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns down below. Down below is all of my social media if you want to follow me anywhere. Down below is my Amazon wishlist. If you want to send me any books that I have picked out, or send me one of your favorites for me to read, I would love to do that for you. Love you to do that for me, for us. Yeah, do that. Yay. Down below is also my Pango, where you can buy other people's used books. Get any of these books for a cheaper price, cheaper way of filling up your TBR. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Here's to another month of reading. Hope you have fun. And yeah, I love you. And I'll see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye.